Welcome to the Modern Manager. I'm Mamie, and I'm so glad you've joined me today to talk about tracking progress towards your goals. Before we dive in, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss any of the practical insights I share on how to be an effective manager and build a strong and thriving team. So, tracking progress. Most of us track progress against our goals in one of two ways, or sometimes both. The first way is to track the actual metric itself. So you're looking at things like if you are tracking the number of followers you have on a social media platform and you're actually looking to see what that number is week over week. Or maybe you're trying to grow your customer base, and so you're looking at the number of actual clients you have week over week. The other way is to track against a project plan. So here you're tracking how many tasks have been done, where are you on the timeline, how far are you from completion, what percentage of work is completed, all of that. And those are both great ways to track progress. But there's a third way that I have found to be really useful when it comes to just tracking progress and knowing if you are likely to hit your goal and if you're on the right track to hitting your goal. And that is called leading indicators. I first learned about this concept of leading indicators when I read the book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, which is a book put out by Franklin Covey. It's actually quite a few years old at this point, but it's such a great book. I highly recommend it. So many different concepts that they lay out, they just make it super easy. But this one was really important and really changed, again, how I think about my work and my team's work and what we're putting our focus and energy and efforts into. So they describe leading indicators and lagging indicators. And the biggest thing is that we actually focus too much on the wrong ones. So let me explain. A lag indicator tells you if you've achieved your goal. And a leading indicator tells you if you are likely to achieve the goal in the future. A leading indicator is measuring those things that are directly correlated or highly likely correlated with future success. So let me give you a super simple example. Let's use weight loss. A lagging indicator would be that number on the scale, because when you get on it, it's only telling you whether or not you've lost or gained weight. It's not about a particular activity. You can't make your body gain or lose weight. There's no one thing that's just body lose weight, body gain weight. It's the lagging indicator and is ultimately tracking that outcome that you're going for. The leading indicators would be things like the number of calories that you're consuming, the number of times you're exercising per week, the number of steps you're taking every day. Those are the things that you actually have control over. And by doing those things and doing them in a way that aligns with your goal, you are more likely then to see the scale move in the right direction. So if you are limiting the number of calories you're eating, or you're making sure you're exercising at least 3 times a week and taking at least 10,000 steps every day, right? By doing those activities, you are moving yourself in the direction that means the scale is likely going to go down the next time you get on it. So let's now put this into a work context. Let's say that you have recently released a new product or service and you want to get some customer feedback. So you decide to run a survey. The lagging indicator would be the number of people who've actually responded to the survey. Maybe your goal is 100, so you're checking each week, how many responses do we have? And once we get to 100, we'll know we've achieved our goal. But what about those leading indicators? Well, this is where you need to just think for a minute and figure out what are the behaviors, what are those components that I should be paying attention to, because if we do them right, that means that we are likely going to get people to respond to our survey. So the first might be sending the survey to people. How many people actually get the survey put in front of them every single week? If people aren't seeing the survey, they're probably not responding to it. So that might be one of your leading indicators, the number of people who are emailed the survey each week. Maybe people are seeing the survey, but they're not completing it. They're clicking it, but they're not finishing it. And you think, well, we know that surveys that are longer tend to have lower responses. So the length of time to complete the survey, that might be a leading indicator as well. And you can experiment then with shortening the survey in a way that will see, does it get more people to respond? So there might be a couple of different indicators, and some of them you might be able to figure out early on, like we have to send it to a certain number of people each week to get a certain number of responses. And some of them you might start figuring out as you go because you realize, something's not quite working here. We must be missing something here. Now we can identify, oh, yes, question number 2, everyone's dropping off at question number 2. We need people to respond to question number 2 in order to finish the survey. Let's take a look and figure out what we need to shift And then we can know, yep, once we fixed question number 2, that actually was a leading indicator. We didn't even realize it, but it was. So now that we know, we need our questions to be super easy and straightforward, not compounded, multiple choice, whatever it might be, that allows people to complete the survey. So whenever you set a goal for your team, for yourself, for your organization, think both about what are those lagging indicators you want to measure, what are those leading indicators that are going to predict success in the future, and what's the project plan to get it all done. And by tracking against all 3 of those, you are setting yourself up for great success. And if you decide to not track all 3 of those, that's also okay. Just don't forget about those leading indicators, because that's the place where you can really shift and have control and put yourself and your team in a position to achieve success in the future. If you found this concept helpful and you want more on how to be an effective manager, how to build a strong, thriving team, and create a workplace where people get to be their best selves and do their best work, please subscribe and check out my latest video.